Yesterday we had lots of questions, and in that discussion we were pointing out how foolish we were. And we do a lot of stupid things, and we think in stupid ways. And this morning I was reading, and I happened to come across a few things that Prabhupada said about Arjuna being foolish, and Krishna smiling when he was on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, because he was thinking, this Arjuna is very foolish. Arjuna is playing the part of ordinary conditioned soul. So I wanted to read those for you before we actually launch into our actual class. I read about foolishness, how foolish we are and can be. And I think it's really important to understand our foolishness, because it helps us become intelligent when we understand, when we can admit that we do stupid things. And we said yesterday that really getting back to Krishna, going back to the spiritual world, although it requires mercy, in general it requires some level of intelligence to understand, that we make bad choices, and if we're not smart, we'll make really bad choices. So, having said that, it's time to lower the lights, and it's time to have a little kirtan before we begin, to meditate on Krishna Vrindavan. But maybe I should bring up the documents as well. And you remember yesterday's class, how the topic of us being foolish, thinking foolishly, came up. So we're going to take off from where we left off yesterday. And company, I have a few things. I'm just going to read. It's on paper, and I didn't have time to find out where it is. So, other than this, we'll just read from where we left off yesterday. Okay. Thank you all for coming. We're going to chant a little bit. Shodanandana Bhajajanaranjana Shodanandana Bhajajanaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaradha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Thai Go Premanandi. As promised, I'm going to read two things that Prabhupada said, which I think are very important for us and also interesting, about the foolish disciple and the guru chastising the foolish disciple as part of his duty. So, as you know, Arjuna was arguing with Krishna. I don't think we should fight, and he was giving reasons. And Krishna was thinking, these are really foolish arguments. These are not justified. And one of the things that is, we've talked about this a little bit before, but not in detail. One of the things that's interesting is Prabhupada talks about Arjuna being compassionate. But in another purport, it talks about him being foolishly compassionate. So obviously compassion is a Vaishnava quality and an important quality, but it was misapplied. So there's foolish compassion. There could be foolish anything, foolish humility. Someone's attacking a devotee, you should protect them. If you don't, that's foolish humility. You forgive someone, but the person's a murderer, they should be prosecuted. That would be foolish forgiveness. You tolerate something which is detrimental to you or to others, that would be foolish tolerance. So that's why sometimes you get this confusion and say, but Prabhupada's glorifying Arjuna as being compassionate. And then he's saying, but that compassion was his fault. So compassion is not a fault, compassion misapplied is a fault. And that's one of the foolish arguments of Arjuna. And in a sense, you look at Arjuna's arguments, they have validity within a particular context. They may be more in a dharmic context, but not in the context in which Krishna is trying to raise Arjuna to. In that context, they don't apply. So compassion, yes, it's good, but in this context, compassion is not good. He was worried about the fact that men would die in battle and the women would be husbandless, and then they would be prone to be exploited. And that would cause varna, sankara, unwanted children. If women are exploited, men will get them pregnant and leave them. So it's a valid argument, it's a valid point. In that context, no, because the stakes were higher. So, I just have to find, oh yes. So this is from a lecture. Bhagavad Gita 2.7, London 73. I guess Kamaniya, you could find that if you have database. So Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 verse 7, and it's in London in 1973. So in this verse, Arjuna, we have this picture of Arjuna having pretty much of a mental breakdown, emotional breakdown. As some people said, the Bhagavad Gita was the first therapy session. You say, well, it's not really therapy. Well, the reason that some people say it's therapy because Arjuna basically had an emotional breakdown. And so Krishna is bringing him out of the emotional breakdown. So that's why they call it therapy. So, in this verse, Krishna, it is described Arjuna's basically crying and powerless and just totally broken, and Krishna smiling. And that's not normally what a friend does when another friend is in distress like this. And so this is Prabhupada's explanation. Another meaning of Krishna's smiling is that Krishna is thinking, quote, "Just see what the fool is doing. Therefore, there was necessity of instructing Bhagavad Gita." Quote, Prabhupada saying, the fool, anyway, in quotations, "the fool must be instructed. He is being childish." In other words, a child is sometimes very serious after fighting with another child, but his father is smiling. Thinking, well, these children are playing, it's not serious. So the father sometimes smiles when the kids do something foolish. I met this man, he had like 8 kids, or 12 kids, or 28 kids, some huge number. And I said what it's like, and he said it's very entertaining. Because kids do funny things. They do foolish things, and it's funny. Hare Krishna. I forgot to take my allergy medicine this morning, so you have to excuse me. So, the politicians are fighting over land, saying, "This is my land." But Krishna smiles. "Why are these rascals claiming my land? It's my land." When we become very serious in a dangerous situation, thinking all is lost, Krishna smiles. So Krishna's laughing at our foolishness. So I think yesterday in the discussion, there was some discussion about how we think about Maya and about Krishna and about surrender, and we foolishly think, and Krishna's looking at that and thinking, when are you going to become intelligent? Krishna's looking at us, he's looking at me, he's looking at you, and he's thinking, when is it going to start working up here? When are you going to understand that everything I told you in Bhagavad Gita, that's the way it is? So when we do foolish things or we think foolishly, then it's useful to think, Krishna's looking at me now thinking, what a fool. Remember we said yesterday, you go in front of the mirror and say, "You are stupid." Of course, we were joking, not that. I mean, you can do it if you want, but we were just saying, that's what it's like. We do stupid things. We need to go in front of the mirror and say, "Hey, you're stupid. You do stupid things. You think like a stupid person." But from what Prabhupada's saying, Krishna's looking at us. We're saying stupid things. We're doing stupid things. We're thinking stupid things. And Krishna's like, "My devotee, what a fool." Right? So that's one thing I wanted to read. And the other thing, which I don't know if you're going to like to hear this other one. You may want to, you may want to go in the next room right now so you don't have to listen to this. I don't know. Maybe you won't like this. Anyway, these are Prabhupada's words. This is from Bhagavatam 2.8.12 in 1968. Oh, it's a long one. Let's read it. I'll read the whole thing. Well, Kamaniya, can you get this? 2.8.12 LA, 1968. No, Srila Prabhupada lecture on Bhagavad Gita. Is that possible? Because this is kind of long, but I think it's worth reading. Srila Prabhupada, Bhagavad Gita, no. So it's okay, I have to explain this to Kamaniya. It's a Prabhupada lecture on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verses 8 through 12, in Los Angeles in 1968. Is it possible? I'm not on, when I give class, I don't give class on my computer, I give it on my phone. If I were on my computer, I could do it. Anyway, I'll read slow, and we'll see. A spiritual master has the right to chastise. So this is this is in relation to Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna's being chastised for being a fool. Krishna directly said, "You're a fool." After Arjuna said all these amazingly intelligent things, within and of themselves, all correct, all shastric, and Krishna is saying, "You're a fool," because within the context, within this application, it makes no sense. So I think that's a good point, that like sometimes, we'll look at a situation and we'll see it in a way in which it appears that the way we're thinking about it is true because it's shastric. But just because it's shastric doesn't mean it's applicable in every situation. So Arjuna is quoting Shastra specifically about dharma in relation to the battle. And he's also acting out of compassion. So you have dharma and virtue. So it seems like what he's saying is good. And as we were saying, it's good within a certain context. It's true. But in this context, it's wrong. So I have to be careful that sometimes we might say something which is in the Shastra, but within the context, it's wrong. And that's where you get these Siddhanta wars. Slinging shlokas. Got you. Got you. So we're throwing shlokas, but the reason we're throwing shlokas at one another is because our contexts are often different. Like sometimes you'll see devotees who are only preaching, let's say, in Eastern Europe or India, and they're saying, no, it should be this way, it should be this way. And someone is preaching in America or South America, saying, no, it should be this way. And they're both right, but they're both saying different things because the context is different. Right? So, So this is an important point, that if you're analyzing a situation and you're analyzing according to Shastra, and then you think, well, this is what Shastra says, and this is how I analyze it. It's doesn't have a date. It just says LA 68, chapter 2, verses 8 through 12, but there's no date. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 8 through 12. Could be November 27th. It begins, a spiritual master has the right to chastise. So you could actually make it easy on you. Just Google, that's Kama Laksha is asking. The spiritual master has the right to chastise. That's where it begins. So, if you're understanding a situation, you might say, yeah, probably that one. Yeah, it's L.A. Yeah, that's probably that one, yeah. So you're understanding a situation, and you say, well, according to Shastra, it's this. And Arjuna's quoting Shastra, and Krishna's saying, no, it doesn't apply in this situation. So this is really interesting, isn't it? And this is sometimes why we'll get differences of opinion or disagreements, or maybe hear different things in classes. And one thing I think is important to know, when someone's giving a class, and maybe you hear something and say, I never heard that before, I always heard the opposite. Well, the quote I'm reading, Kamalaksha, begins, a spiritual master has the right to chastise. So, if you can find that section where it begins, a spiritual master has the right to chastise. That's one first paragraph and then one more paragraph. That's what I'm going to read. So if you could find that and paste that. So it's interesting when a person's giving a class to think, okay, what's the context in which he's giving? And I'm sure you've seen this, that sometimes a sannyasi or brahmachari will give a class, and some people will think, well, that was kind of narrow or fanatical or whatever you think. But then you have to think, well, what's his context? His context is mostly he lives with brahmacharis, he has traveling parties with brahmacharis, So then you say, okay, now I understand the context. he's directing that class, or he's coming out of the context of celibate men. So that's why he's saying those things. So then it makes sense. Or somebody's the opposite, grihastha ashram, and within that context of children, families, and so forth. So he's saying certain things, and then some people are thinking, why is he saying that? It's in that context. So it's important to understand. So search, a spiritual master has the right to chastise. Just search that statement. Put that statement in quotes, go into the database and search it and see if this comes up. You probably have the right lecture. You just need to find the section in the lecture. I'm doing like this radio show thing, when you have a talk show. You keep talking and until they find it. Okay, maybe I will do that and see if I can find it. So we will search this. Sometimes a folio, it doesn't do what you want it to. Of course, sometimes we misspell a word. A spiritual master has the right to chastise. I didn't find it. This is like, no, you're not going to find it. I don't. Maybe this is secret information. We have information that's not in the folio. Okay. So this is about the Guru chastising. Now, in regards to this discussion about knowledge which is appropriate, we often saw that Prabhupada would get the same questions but answer them differently. Understanding context, understanding the person he was talking to or the country he was in. So this is important. This is important because this is where we sometimes get disagreements. We're coming from a different context. Your country is different, or you're a different person. You process Krishna consciousness differently. Certain things you're attracted to or work for you that maybe for another devotee don't inspire them. So anyway, that's for a whole discussion, but an interesting one. And anyway, it's there in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is saying, Arjuna, everything you said is true and you're a fool, basically. And ultimately, Prabhupada said, the reason Krishna called him a fool is saying, look if you're so smart, why are you lamenting? Because lamentation is symptomatic of the mode of ignorance. And if you have knowledge, your knowledge hasn't done anything to help you. The result of your knowledge is you're just sitting here completely bewildered, depressed, crying. You can't fight, you can't function. And now you're lecturing to me about all the reasons you shouldn't fight, and you're a total mess. You ever done that before? You're in a situation and you're describing it, you're analyzing it, and the result of your analysis is you become a total mess. So that's knowledge means to liberate you from misery. So if you actually understand something, it should liberate you from misery. But you're a really, basically Krishna's saying, you're a really smart fool. There's a lot of people who are very smart fools. They can analyze things and they're preparing for their next life in the material world. And, they've got everything figured out. And my daughter was telling me, when she was listening to a class of her guru, Maharaj Indradumna Swami, he said, when in the early days when they were young and bold and a little crazy and wild, they would just go to universities and walk right into the class and say, we have these books here, everything you're learning is it's just material knowledge, it's not going to help you at the time of death. We have real knowledge. They would just burst into the class. So they burst into one class, and he gave his line, and they were talking about Rupa Goswami. Hare Krishna. And the professor said, You want to speak something about Rupa Goswami? And I think Maharaj's point was the professor was sitting there smoking a cigarette, probably knew more about Rupa Goswami than those young brahmacharis did. So, you know so much about Rupa Goswami. Why are you smoking a cigarette? He was a Goswami. Something like that. I have this written on paper. I don't even know where it is on my computer. So, anyway, we're going to read. Fasten your seatbelts. This is all about the guru chastising the disciple. A spiritual master has the right to chastise. Father, spiritual master, they are advised to chastise. Putram chasisyam tadayat natu lalayat. So father and teacher is advised by Chanakya Pandit, you should always chastise your son and disciple. Always find out mistake. And the Srila Prabhupada saying, we think, well, if the spiritual master is good, he'll find out our good qualities and he'll compliment us. Because that's generally what's advised for leaders, isn't it? Appreciate, find the good qualities, and inspire. And definitely that inspires us. And here Prabhupada is saying the total opposite. Could you imagine, Krishna Karshani, could you imagine you call me to Poland and you say, I want to bring all the leaders and I want you to teach all the leaders how to inspire devotees. And you're thinking, okay, Mahatma Prabhu is going to say, you should appreciate, you should be tolerant, you should be kind, empathetic, loving. And then I say, your duty is to chastise. Everyone in your temple, as soon as they make a mistake, chastise them. And Krishna Karshani, like, after the class, she'd come up in the room and was like, why did you say that? I didn't bring you into Poland to say that. Everybody's freaking out. That's what Prabhupada's saying here. We're not, our culture is like, we pat on the back culture. And I'm not saying we shouldn't do that. We should. But this is a different culture. This is a different, it's like there's a superior, you respect them, and they chastise you. It's just mercy. That's what Prabhupada's saying. Father and teacher is advised by Chanakya Pandit, you should always chastise your son and disciple. Always find out mistake. Don't be angry. But it is the business of the teacher and the father simply to find out your mistakes, not to find out good things. Hare Krishna. Tadayat na tu lalayat. Lalayat means patting. Oh, my dear son, my dear boy, you are so nice. Sometimes it is done, but it is the business of the teacher and father to chastise. Okay, we need a sound effect for that. Hold on. It's time for sound effects. I need a chastise effect. Like a big explosion or something, right? All right. That's it. Okay. Now I'm going to read that with sound effects. It is the business of the teacher and the father to chastise. You fool! You rascal! Why did you do that? What's wrong with you? Nobody likes that, right? That's what it feels like when you get chastised, doesn't it? Rascal! Fool! Why did you do that? It kind of feels like that, doesn't it? So, yeah, it's not fun. Well, it is fun to be chastised because you get mercy, but, sometimes it doesn't feel good. So here's the instruction. Never recognize the disciple's business or son's business as very good. Then they will spoil. That is the injunction of Chanakya Muni. Lalane bahavo dosha. If you simply pat, then there will be so many faults. And if you chastise, they will be very much qualified. Taddane bahavo guna tasma. Therefore, putram cha sisya cha tadayat na tu lalayat. Simply chastise, don't pat. This is the injunction, moral injunction. So, yesterday I was chastising through jokes. Yes. So, what's the point? You can see that some people, they can't take chastisement. It's just like really, really hard. They just want to be praised and honored. And of course, that's natural and it's understandable. Not some people, all of us. But Prabhupada said we have to see the chastisement of the Guru as his job and his mercy. And we should think, wow, he's so merciful, he's chastising me. What kindness. And Prabhupada's making the point, if there's too much praise and too much appreciation, it may be bad for the disciple because then they won't see their faults. And so the Guru's business is that this is your fault, and nobody likes their faults to be pointed out. Maybe occasionally we appreciate it, but all the time, no. And Prabhupada's saying, yeah, that's the duty. And so that's what our Krishna was doing with Arjuna, is exactly this. It's interesting because Arjuna is in this very depressed state. And Krishna is not taking it easy on Arjuna. He's just basically punching him. You're a fool, you're a rascal, what you're saying is wrong. And that was what Arjuna needed to come to his senses. So far we are concerned, when our spiritual master used to chastise, we took it as blessing. That was very nice. And he would chastise like anything. Damn rascal, foolish, stupid, foolish, rascal, anything, all good words. And Prabhupada's saying these are good words. And Prabhupada's laughing. Especially he was chastising Mayavadis and others like that. But, So Prabhupada tells a story here. One day it so happened, it was not my fault, another old godbrother. Prabhupada was speaking, so I was very much fond of hearing. That gentleman, that old godbrother, he was a retired doctor. So he wanted to speak something. He spoke to Prabhupada during the lecture. He should not have done so. So naturally, in other words, this man turned to Prabhupada and then started speaking to Prabhupada during the lecture. And Prabhupada saying, I shouldn't have done so, but naturally someone's speaking to you, so you listen. And Prabhupada saw it. Prabhupada means Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And he became so angry. So he knew that my attention was drawn away by this other devotee. He chastised him. He chastised this other devotee like anything. He was an old man, almost actually like his age, the age of Bhaktisiddhanta. And he was paying every month 60 rupees, which was a good amount in those days. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta became angry. Do you think that because you pay 60 rupees, you have purchased us? You can do anything and anything and everything. He said like that. Very strong word he used. Do you think that I am speaking for others? You have learned everything. You are diverting your attention. In other words, he was speaking to Prabhupada during the class, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta saying, so you know everything? You don't have to listen to me? Really, very, very angry. And we were talking about anger the other day. So here's an example of using anger. You have learned everything. You are diverting your attention. So many ways he was very, very angry. So this is nice to chastise. As soon as Krishna was accepted as Guru, Sishyateham Sharimam Prapanam, Tom Prapanam, I become your disciple. Because in the beginning there were friendly talks. Friendly talks cannot make any good advance. Talks must be between the spiritual master teacher and disciple. Immediately, first of all, he chastised. Hare Krishna. So, of course, if you don't want to be chastised, don't do anything stupid. Hare Krishna. Yeah, you found it. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Wow, you found it. Amazing. Oh, amazing. Okay, so yesterday we talked about our foolishness, and I personally felt, I don't know how you felt, but I felt yesterday's class was important because we were able to talk about ways that we think that are not helpful, or rationalizations or angles of vision that are not helpful for our bhakti. And I thought, pointing out those mistakes was very, very helpful. At least I felt that way. I hope you felt that way also. So now I'm going to go see your comments or questions. Can a guru become addicted to fault finding? Yeah, well, that's like the man who asked Prabhupada about the bad guru. And Prabhupada said, if he's bad, how can he be guru? All right, I'm going through all your conversations, trying to find the quote, and I have to find it there, okay. Okay, so here's a question from yesterday. If you have any questions from yesterday, you can post them here now. You mentioned a devotee yesterday who said that he has to make breaks Maya breaks breaks every day in his Krishna consciousness to be in Maya for an hour or more. I believe most of us do the same, or maybe I am the only one who is doing it. Well, might is not right. Follow the crowd and you'll end up in the wrong place. It seems that on our level it's impossible to be KC 24/7. It seems to be artificial for us. It may sound like a kind of excuse. No, it doesn't sound like an excuse. It is an excuse. But we cannot avoid to be in Maya. It's one thing to be in Maya just because you're in Maya. And the other thing to plan it out on your schedule. Okay, what's your schedule? Well, I get up at 5, I chant my rounds, then we read Bhagavatam, then we have breakfast, then I do my puja, and then I clean the house. And then at 1 o'clock we have 1 hour for Maya. I don't know if that's part of the daily sadhana recommended by Rupa Goswami. And maybe we even need our daily dose of a little Maya. I'm not talking about gross. What to do, Prabhu? Trying to force ourselves to be KC 24/7, which is not natural for us. Or let ourselves for a little Maya every day. Well, during that time of Maya, I just hope you don't leave your body, because that would be unfortunate. That's my answer. And you could try to decipher from that what I think. Maya is meant to be used for Krishna. Anything independent of Krishna has no use. So how could I need my Maya? That's another song. Just give me a little Maya, just a few drops a day to get me through the hard times. It's not proper understanding. It's nothing that you won't. I understand what you're saying, but there's no real support for it in Shastra. Now, if you like to watch movies, or if you like to listen to music, which I think maybe is part of the Maya you're talking about. Or maybe, I don't know, you like to go skiing or whatever. What I would advise is, at least what our philosophy advises, is try to relate it to Krishna in some way. Like, I like to sing, So sometimes I'll watch a singer who's not singing about Krishna. But it actually inspires me to do kirtan better, because I think this person is so, they sing so beautifully and they're so into it. I want to do that for Krishna. So although it's Maya, but it's not Maya because it ends up inspiring me for Krishna. Or, you like a song, but that song, say, well, I could see that this person has affection for the person they're singing to, and it inspires, can I use that as an inspiration to sing for Krishna? So, and that way somehow you've connected your Maya to Krishna. Or I like to do some sport. Can I regulate it so that it becomes exercise, not just frivolity? That's our philosophy. Otherwise, there's nowhere in our philosophy that it says, pure, unadulterated Maya an hour a day is good for your Krishna consciousness. It says that you can use Maya in Krishna's service, but it never says pure unadulterated Maya is good for you. It's just, the problem is pure unadulterated Maya inspires you for more pure unadulterated Maya, and you'll never be able to overcome it, because so whatever your desire is, that you do it for Krishna. Somehow, you see me in my my uncontrollable desire to play songs. I can't stop doing that. I can't stop playing. Without you, Lord, a moment feels like a million years or more. And tears are flowing from my eyes, just like torrents of rain. And I'm feeling all vacant without you, Lord. So now I could sit down and say, well, I've scheduled time for Maya, it's my Maya time, so I'm going to play. Oh, baby, I love you, don't you leave me. So why would I do that? Right? And then after I do that, I think, hey, I could be a rock star. I could make, it's not recommended. So taking what you're saying, I need a little Maya, just a little Maya every day. Whoa, I need a little Maya every day. Okay, taking that idea, you have to connect it to Krishna. You want to... This would be funny. I have a gospel one here. I have a soul also. We have a gospel. This could be your song, Krishna Karshini. I just need a little Maya every day. Just a little bit. Just a little bit of Maya. That's your song, right? Okay. So, figure out how that little bit of Maya can be contained within a bigger package of Krishna, and then it's okay. Okay, so let's say you're like addicted to YouTube or television. Does anybody watch television anymore, or is that outdated? So watch something that could help you understand maybe where the world's going, so that you could be better prepared for spreading Krishna consciousness, understanding, more and more people are thinking this way or doing this, or, 10 years from now, everyone's going to be like this, and if we adapt to it, so then you use that. You want more songs, right? You like that gospel? It's pretty cool, right? Isn't it? what you should sing is, I've been in Maya too long. Been Maya too long. Oh, gotta get out. That's what you should sing. So that's my answer to your question. And the reason that I can't agree with you is because there's no support for it in anything Prabhupada said. Like a little Maya will help. What we mean is, it's like Prabhupada always said, okay, you want to have sex? Get married, have children. You want to do this? Do it for Krishna. You want to play music? Do it for Krishna. You want to paint? Do it for Krishna. You want to, so you have to figure out how it's going to be connected with Krishna. Connect your Maya to Krishna. That's the name of today's class, right? Connect your Maya to Krishna. Do you remember better when I play songs? Does that help you remember what we spoke about? Connect your Maya to Krishna. This keyboard, I think I bought this in the year like 1999. And I started hankering for a new one. This is all 1999 music. No more Maya. She's gone. Okay. Very good question. So we have to be careful. This is a good point. I'm about to make a good point. Attention. When you're analyzing something, Hare Krishna, when you're analyzing something, and something seems to make sense or something seems to work, you want to go to the Shastra and say, okay, where is the support? Either from my spiritual master, from Srila Prabhupada, from classes I've heard, from books I've read. Where is the support for the way I'm thinking? Because the way you're thinking may make sense to you, just like the way Arjuna was thinking made sense to him. But if it's not coming from our acharyas or Prabhupada or our philosophy, even if it makes sense, it's wrong. So we have to be careful. That just, okay, it makes sense, but that may make sense to my material side. And ultimately, we're learning how to give up Maya. And if we can't give up Maya completely, which we can't, we engage Maya in Krishna's service. So you just have to figure out how to engage Maya, right? Like, that song I love so much. My favorite. Okay, here's an example. This is an example. We played this song before for you. This is an example. Whoa. Oh. This is an example. Okay. This is an example. You know this song. There was a song that I liked by Sting. And I thought, I can't sing the song. The song's in my head. I don't want to sing it. So I have to Krishnaize it. So I listened to him sing it, and I think this is a nice song. But what am I going to do? Walk around all day? You'll remember me when the west wind moves. I'm not going to go around singing that. And I thought, okay, you'll remember Sham when the fall wind moves among the fields of Braja. You'll forget your world and your jealous foes as you walk in sands of gold. So then now we Krishnized it. Right? Yes? You'll remember Sham when the west fall wind moves among the fields of Raja. You'll forget your world and your jealous foes as you walk in sands of gold. Here it is. A real life example of Krishnizing Maya. And in the process, Sting makes spiritual advancement. It's true, he does. If we use his melody, he makes advancement. And yes, I will record that song. Don't worry, it'll be recorded. It's just, I'm working on another project and I can't lose my focus. I have to finish this other project. I'm working on it yesterday. Oh, amazing, amazing. These guided meditations. We're going to release them soon. I think I want to create a Facebook page and I'll put all these guided meditations and all kinds of tips for japa on the page. It'll be the mantra project or the japa page or something. Okay. We haven't got very far today, have we? In terms of reading. Krishna Karshan, he said, if I brought all the leaders to Poland and told them, just chastise everyone, be my last trip to Poland. Well, sometimes if I don't want to go to a place, then I could keep that in mind. They'll never invite me back again. Oh yeah, we found that lecture. Okay, good. Can the guru become a victim of fault finding this way? Okay, I was looking at Paran's question. I was looking at his question. Can a guru, if a guru's duty is to fault find, can he become addicted to fault finding? And I said, and Prabhupada was asked, what about the bad gurus? And Prabhupada said, if he's bad, he cannot become guru. So, you could say, well, if he's addicted to fault finding, how can he become a guru? Or he became addicted to fault finding because he has the right. And the guru is only fault finding out of duty, not out of an addiction. If he's addicted to fault finding, I don't think he should have been a guru in the first place. Because the guru is fault finding out of duty. And therefore, Prabhupada said, to be a guru is a thankless task because you have to criticize your disciples. And Vaishnavas never criticize. And Bhaktisiddhanta said, therefore, one cannot become a Vaishnava guru because one cannot criticize. And all the guru does is criticize. So you cannot become guru. So that's the first qualification. I cannot become guru because I'm Vaishnava and I don't criticize. And my guru says, no, you become guru and you criticize. So then I become guru and I criticize on his order. But if I become addicted to criticizing, then it's a fault. Then I'm disqualified from the guru business. Take away my license. Get a little letter from the GBC. Your guru license has been revoked because we've seen you have a severe case of addiction to fault finding. And can it happen? Of course, anything can happen. And when you become a guru, Param, just be careful. Don't become addicted to fault finding. Krishna Karshan says, what do we feel that we did not deserve the chastisement for a guru? Should we tend to defend ourselves or just accept it in a humble way? Honey, Guru Maharaj, you're wrong. How dare you chastise me like that? You don't know what you're talking about. You have no right to treat me that way. Oh, that's a pretty humble approach. Yeah, that's what you should do, Krishna Karshan. Definitely that's what you should do. No question. Don't let your guru chastise you like that. Put him in his place. Let him know who the boss is. Okay. I know what Krishna Karshan is asking, so that's one answer, which was a joke, of course. That's not what you should do. But she's asking, it's like your guru chastises you because something went wrong, but it was actually another devotee who messed it up, not you, and he thinks it was you and you're getting chastised. What do? You just tell him, say, Guru Maharaj, it wasn't me, it was so-and-so. And he'll say, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you did it. No. Or you say, should you try to explain yourself? Well, it depends if your guru's in Lord Nrsingadev mode. I wouldn't try to explain myself. But if it's just talking, why did you do that? That was wrong. And said, well, you told me to do it this way, and I thought that's what you meant. And I'll say, no, you misunderstood. Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. So, it's the guru is a person. You can talk about it. Sometimes you just have to explain yourself. No, your guru is upset about something you did, but then you explain, I didn't do that. Or if I would have done that, it would have created a problem. Like sometimes your guru says, do something, and you don't do it because you know if you do it, it's going to create a really bad result. And he'll say, why didn't you do it? And you say, because if I did it, the police would have come and shut the whole festival down. And then he'll say, well, it's a good thing you didn't listen to me. So that happens also. So that's like use your intelligence. Your guru says, why didn't you do what I said? Because we would have been arrested if we did. Oh, okay. He didn't know that. He's not from this country. Lime water. Take a little piece of lime, cut it up, and put it in the water. These are organic. Amazing drink. Time, place, circumstance. Generally, of course, it's not the injunction of Shastra to talk, to fight back at your guru or chastise your guru. I'm going to chastise my guru. Why? Because he chastised me. I'll chastise him. No, generally that's not the program. But you can discuss. And ultimately there's a higher principle. Sometimes in order to create the best possible relationship, sometimes it's just let yourself be chastised, even if you didn't do it, or even you didn't do wrong what he says you're doing wrong. Sometimes it's better just say, okay, because it's not going to be, he doesn't want to hear anything else, or it's not going to be resolved, or, you can't talk to him. So it's like, okay. So sometimes like that. It wasn't a letter, it was a lecture, and that doesn't say what it was. It says Gita 2, 8-12, LA 68. That's what it says if you find that. Can a guru become addicted to fault finding? Yeah, I know one guru who was. But he was removed from his position. Tanya says, Dinatarani mentioned in her class on Jamuna Devi Dasi how Srila Prabhupada chastised Jamuna for leaving a speck of dust in the stapler after cleaning his room. Devotees wanted to know why he chastised her for such an incredibly small offense. Indeed, Tarani said Prabhupada always strive to elevate Jamuna to higher and higher levels of awareness and bhakti. Hare Krishna. So generally, beautiful story, generally the guru will chastise those who can take it and won't chastise those who won't take it. And he won't chastise if he doesn't think it's going to be beneficial. So, just because someone does something wrong doesn't mean necessarily you always chastise, because you have to make sure it's going to have a good effect. Right? But we as disciples, if we're chastised, generally, we should just take it and think, I need to be humble. And I'm so proud, I think I'm great, and I think everything I do is fantastic. And I sit in front of the mirror all day and I go, you're so beautiful, you're so wonderful. Then my guru comes and just shatters that whole illusion. So sometimes it's necessary, because we think we're better than we are. Radhika says she'll never become Krishna conscious if the process is her guru is going to chastise her all the time. Well, Radhika, the idea of the good cop and the bad cop? You know that idea? The good cop and the bad cop? So the bad cop is heavy, really hard, hard on someone, and the good cop is like the nice guy. So Radhika has two gurus, so it's a little bit like the good cop and the bad cop. One chastising and then one putting ointment on the wounds of the chastisement. So her guru chastises her, and then I come and I put the salve on I'm playing the good cop for her, so she's okay. Okay. Krishna Jivani says, I don't know if this is how the story went, but I remember the story of Mataji that used to cook for Prabhupada, and he used to tell her that she put too much salt in the food. And he said, while pointing at her, that woman would, well, that was another story. Let's see. He used to cook for Prabhupada, and he used to tell her she used too much salt, or that the food was not cooked properly. So Prabhupada was chastising her, boom, 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 and then she wanted to give up. That was Malati. Chastising. And then Prabhupada said, I would slit my throat for her, she would slit her throat for me. Yeah. And sometimes Prabhupada would chastise and say, you have to excuse me, it's the duty of the Guru to chastise. So, Jai Devananda, Malati, yes. At this Vaishnavi retreat in South Africa with all the Mahajanis, Mahajan Devis. What's the Sanskrit for, what's the female Janas person? Maybe it's okay. Oh, the Mahajans, the female Mahajans in ISKCON. Sincere. The real, I was thinking this morning about what we talked about yesterday, the questions. And really, it really boils down to when we say, but I need this, and but this problem, and, the whole list of buts. Maybe we have to write a book, we'll call it But. There was another book that said, get off your butts. So, overcoming your butts, getting rid of your butts. But I was thinking this morning how if you just increase a little bit your seriousness about bhakti, so many problems will go away. So you won't need so many buts and what ifs and, have to be reals and, my hour daily for Maya. You become a little more serious, and these things they'll start to just fall apart because they won't fit in with that level of seriousness. That's something to think about. Davina says, sometimes I find it hard to not think about results of what I'm trying to do. If I'm doing acting, theater stuff for Krishna, then I get caught up on the results. I have to step back and remember. I have to step back and remember why I'm doing this and understand whatever Krishna wants, he will do. Have to always. Have. To always offer everything to Guru and Krishna and pray. They can keep us focused on intention rather than results. Praise. Yeah, everybody wants to be praised. Especially actors, right? You want a big standing ovation after the performance, right? And everyone's applauding, and you're like, yeah, this is what I live for. And you're trying to take it humbly, and inside it's like, yeah, this is my life and soul. That's called conditioned soul, and that's where we're coming from. So there's a transition period coming from that into what we're supposed to be. This is for Krishna's pleasure. I could get a standing ovation by 1 million people, but if Krishna's not pleased by what I did, what's the point? And if no one stands and no one applauds and no one even comes to the performance, but Krishna is pleased, that's it. Success. Massive success. Right? That's our meditation. You hear that? We have all kinds of little creatures running around our property. And I think one of them's running underneath my office right now. You hear that? Yeah. Okay, yeah. This comes under the Divina. This comes under the. You should listen to my course, The Power of Humility and Self-Honesty. We talk about this. This is, when you become a devotee, this is really the transition. You're transitioning from like, I'm the body, look how beautiful I am, look how smart I am, look how talented I am, to I'm not the body, I'm not smart, I'm not talented, I'm not beautiful, and my existence is for Krishna's pleasure. I am the body, my existence is for whose pleasure? Me, 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 me. Devotee, my existence is for Krishna's pleasure. I want Krishna to be honored. I'm the body. I want to be honored. Tell me how good I am. Tell me how beautiful I am. Tell me how smart I am. Just tell me something that's good about me. And we come to Krishna. I'm not the body. Guru is chastising. You're not so smart. You're not so beautiful. Get your act together. It's like total different. And that's why it's hard. That transition, it's like a whole new way of thinking and being. And it's like Krishna Karshani's question, the Guru chastises you and you didn't do anything wrong. It's like, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good. We're used to being praised. At least we're not used to being chastised, especially if we didn't do anything or we don't think we did anything wrong. Of course, Krishna Karshani, you may not think you did something wrong, but maybe you did. And then you'll be in double trouble when you could get into double trouble when you try to defend yourself. So that's the natural tendency. And so we're learning how pure devotees think and how pure devotees act. That's what we do. That's what we're doing. We're trying to do. So if you study the pure devotee, just study, well, how do they think? What's going on? Because we want to imbibe that mentality. We want to understand that mentality. What is it? How is it? What are they doing? What are they thinking? What are they feeling? How did they see the situation? That's what we're trying to learn. Because we're coming from this other position where we're just seeing and feeling materially. It doesn't work in Krishna consciousness. I was chastised by Prabhupada, not personally, but in a letter. And, so we're talking about chastisement, might as well. This whole class is ending up about chastisement, which is fine. And my feeling on the emotional level was, yeah, I needed that. It was like, sometimes the chastisement is the only thing that gets through, isn't it? Sometimes, the class doesn't get through. You're reading the book, it doesn't get through. The kirtan didn't get through. There's like a problem you have, nothing's getting through, and then your guru just chastises you and it gets through. And so sometimes that's the only way we understand something, is to get chastised. Isn't it true? You agree? That sometimes that, it's like the atomic bomb of guruship. When all their other bombs fail, the class failed, the kirtan failed, the reasoning failed, the logic failed. Okay, let's bring out the atom bomb. Chastisement. Okay, Guru Maharaj, I understand. Thank you. Isn't it? So that's why sometimes chastisement is necessary, because nothing else gets through. And so that was my experience of being chastised. Like, when I got chastised, I said, okay, I shouldn't be thinking like this. It's clear I'm thinking a certain way. I should stop thinking like that. I got chastised. This is wrong. Don't think this way. And that chastised, and I felt happy. So when I was chastised, it actually felt good because I got the medicine. Bitter medicine, but it works. Prabhupada said, if it tastes bad, it's good medicine. Kamaniya, I see you. Asking a question, are your comments showing up? But we're going down. So, Guru-like Prabhupada said so strongly about chastisement, Krishna Karshani says, in a statement you quoted, but I remember you were saying many times Prabhupada was really chastising. He was mostly, yeah, it's true. So Prabhupada's teaching the principle. And mostly Prabhupada was encouraging because we couldn't take the chastisement. So it's interesting. He's saying the duty of the guru, just chastise, 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 don't praise. And Prabhupada was mostly praising, 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 not chastising. But the point was, Prabhupada saw what we needed. So, the guru's position is he'll praise, he'll chastise, whatever he feels is going to help you. And so the praise and the chastisement, it's the same. It's from his side, it's the same. It's just he wants to help you. It's his affection. Comes out as chastisement or it comes out as praise. It's meant for the same purpose. So yeah, I think Prabhupada just saw that most of us couldn't take, constant chastisement. That, like, nobody would join the Hare Krishna movement, and if they did, they'd all leave it. It'd be too much chastisement. Yes? That's what I think. I don't know if I'm seeing Kaminia's post. Kaminia, yeah, there. I see your post. Tanya says, it reminds me of something I read in a book by a 16th century Catholic monk, Lorenzo Scupoli, called Spiritual Combat. The writer speaks about working only for the pleasure of God and says, quote, but in actions of longer duration, it is well not only to excite this motive within yourself at the beginning, but also to review it frequently and to keep it alive till the end. Otherwise, you will be in danger of falling into another snare of our natural self-love, which, as it is always inclined to yield rather to self than to God. Yeah, maybe I was him in my past life, saying the same thing. Often causes us unconsciously in the course of time to change our objects and our aims. Yeah, it's the dog's tail. It's the dog tail analogy. Here's the dog tail. Straighten the dog tail. What happens? Great class, ecstatic kirtan. Let's go home. Boom, Maya. Trying to straighten it out. We just fall back, conditioning. So don't underestimate the power of your conditioning. That's the point. We're very conditioned. Okay. Rachel says, now I realize that Sri Borijan Prabhu is so amazing. Sometimes just by being in his presence, I feel chastised. I feel so stupid around him. That's good. I also sometimes feel stupid around him because he's so smart. That's why we should be with smart people, because they make us feel stupid. And that's why some people don't like smart people, because they make you feel stupid. I don't want to feel stupid. No, you should. It's good. If you feel stupid, it's a good sign. And you feel stupid and you realize, okay, I have to stop being stupid. I'm around someone who's not stupid. I didn't realize how stupid I was. Yeah, that's a good point. Should a disciple act on purpose to be chastised by Guru, which is good, or try to be perfect, or to never receive chastisement? Don't worry, Toshan. Just do your service as best you can, and I'll chastise you. I have a rasa with Tony. Toshan, I have a rasa. I catch him being lazy. And I have a name for you? Lazy man. Yeah, I have it. That's his nickname, Lazy Man. I usually chastise through jokes, but I think he gets the point. Yeah. Sometimes he doesn't do something that takes like an extra minute or two because it's just. So I say, lazy man, do this. And he knows he's being lazy. Yeah. No, a disciple should not do something to get chastised. No, he should only do to please Krishna and Guru. And try to be perfect, try to perfectly follow. But the disciple should try to perfectly follow, but not so he. Why did you do that so well? Because I don't want to get chastised. I'm so afraid of getting chastised. If I get chastised, no, it's not why I do it perfectly. I do it to please the Guru. If the Guru chastises, it's only to show that it can be done better. Right? It's to shake us and wake us. A lot of times I see, with devotees that things are kind of just kind of going, unless I go, it doesn't, it just keeps going. It's like, why isn't this getting done? Why did you say that? Why did you do that? And, sorry. So sometimes, we need it. We all need it. Wow, having a cyclone? No, really? Wow, Hare Krishna. So pray for everyone. Wow. Hare Krishna. Found the letter. Better late than never. Lakshmi Nrsimha will protect you. I believe it's good to have two gurus, one for praising and the other for chastising. I have one guru, which is me, who is always chastising me, and the other guru, Indradum Swami, who is always praising. See, we have the opposite relationship with Radhika. It's the other way around. Because Radhika's getting chastised by our other guru, then if I chastise her, she'll fall into dust. So, if you come to me, tell me what your other guru is doing, so I can do the opposite. Guru's protector and disciple, rent his private advocate. I'm not sure what you mean. Procurator and disciple, his private advocate. Yeah. Not sure what you mean. There was a question from yesterday's class from Marina. You said we should understand that we are afraid to lose if we surrender. But not to be afraid to lose, and at the same time, not to be somehow they're indifferent or falsely renounced. I think a lot of times when you're talking about questions of faith and surrender, the answer to the question is actually surrender and see for yourself how it works out, or upgrade your faith and see it how Krishna reciprocates. Because if you've ever been afraid to do something, what's the best way to overcome the fear? It's to do it, right? Because as long as you don't do it, you'll still remain afraid, isn't it? So I think it's the same situation. I'm afraid to surrender, or lack of faith is really, in many cases, a fear that I'll be unhappy if I give too much to Krishna. So, but why don't you try it and see if you'll actually be unhappy? That's how you overcome your fear. And as long as you are afraid of something and you don't face it, then you'll always remain afraid of it. So, and I think the other problem is how you define surrender. I think a lot of us define surrender in ways that we could never surrender. Like we scare ourselves out of surrendering. Surrendering to Krishna must be really difficult. No. Not surrendering to Krishna is really difficult. That is the way we have to see it. I don't know if I could surrender, it's so difficult. No, you missed the point. Not surrendering is difficult. You got it backwards. Everything is backwards. If you don't surrender, it's difficult. Surrendering is not difficult. But we think surrendering is I'm going to suffer if I surrender to Krishna. No, you've been suffering for millions of lifetimes because you didn't surrender to Krishna. So, and sometimes we're like, we don't get it. No, I'm so afraid to surrender to Krishna because I'll suffer. Like, hello, you've been suffering for a million lifetimes. Like, hello, if you surrender to Krishna, that suffering is going to end. The cycle of birth and death is going to end. What you said just makes absolutely no sense at all. Right? That's like really, when you analyze that statement, it doesn't make any sense. If I don't surrender to Krishna, I'll be happy. If I surrender to Krishna, I won't be happy. How did you end up with a body in the first place that's causing so much misery? Because we didn't surrender to Krishna. It's the same thing we discussed yesterday. It's this bad thinking. If we're not clear in our thinking, then we think everything backwards. Oh, I surrender. I'll have to go to Siberia and peel potatoes. I'll be miserable. That was the joke in 1970 in San Francisco. If you don't follow the president, we're going to send you to Siberia and peel potatoes. I don't know what they were going to do in Siberia. There was no temple there, and it was illegal for devotees to live in Russia. But anyway, that was the joke. If I surrender, then my guru, my spiritual master is going to ask me to do this. My temple president is going to ask me to do this. Yeah. And if you don't surrender, what? Congratulations, you get to take another birth. Get another crazy mind, a crazy body, and, hello, Prabhu. Hello, Prabhu. Everything working okay up there? Yeah, that's how we have to think, We've been in the material world so long, things don't work right up here. Isn't it a fact? We just don't think clearly about these things. So we're supposed to think not surrendering is misery. And surrendering is, that's, me and Krishna like this. Not surrender is me and Krishna like this. So what's better? You tell me. Is this better or is this better? So Marina, if you surrender to Krishna, you get a hug from Krishna. You don't surrender to Krishna, you get a hug from Maya. Well, you choose who you want to be hugged by. You say, but how? Well, just do it and experience it. Just put yourself out a little bit. Surrender a little more. Chant better rounds. Read a little more. Push yourself in service a little more. See what happens. See if you're happy. Param, I don't understand what you're saying. I'm saying the guru is your advocate or something? Surrenders to give up material attachment and do devotional service. Does it mean I trust him? If you don't trust Krishna, how can you surrender? If you don't trust Guru, how can you surrender? Because surrender, what surrender? This word. Okay, let's take the word surrender. Just pretend I never said it. The word we're going to use is sharanam, taking shelter. Sarva dharmam prityaja mam ekam sharanam braja. Sharanam is the word. Prabhupada translates sharanam as surrender, but sharanam technically means shelter, taking shelter. So now, if we use the word sharanam and we make our same analysis, then we ask the question, who are you taking shelter of? Maya or Krishna or something material? Where's your shelter? So when we say, how can I surrender to Krishna? Just change the word. How can I take shelter of Krishna? And then the next question I ask you is, what are your options to taking shelter of Krishna? Well, I could take shelter of pizza and ice cream. I could take shelter of YouTube. I could take shelter of my keyboard. I could take shelter of the bed. I could take shelter of chocolate. I could take shelter of so many things. And where's that shelter going to go? What are you going to do with that shelter? And so many verses in the Bhagavatam about the glories of taking shelter of Krishna. And the glorious result of taking shelter of Krishna, and how no one in their right mind would take shelter of anyone else. What are you going to take shelter of? Money? Like that's going to help you? We have in my new book, we have a cartoon. And the cartoon shows a man about to enter the cemetery, and then the Yamaduta is there, the symbol of death, And he's got big suitcases of money, and he stopped at the gate and he said, you can't take that with you. You have to leave it here. And there's like outside the cemetery, there's all these piles of suitcases of money of all the people trying to take it with them. So take shelter of, who should I take shelter of? You know that verse, Aho Bhakishtam? There's a beautiful verse in the Bhagavatam. And said, Putana came to Krishna to kill her. And as you know, he came to Krishna to kill her by offering her breast milk. So Krishna took her as mother and gave her a position in the spiritual world as mother. And seeing that, the devotee says, who in the world could I take shelter of other than Krishna, who's the most merciful? Even you come with ill intent, you do some service, he blesses you. So as long as we change the word from surrender to shelter, I think it's going to be easier for you, for all of you. Okay. Okay, I'm reading as I'm going up. Now we're going down. To surrender mean, Gopal Ananda says, to surrender mean to surrender to institution or particular guru or a combination of both. Well, these questions are getting interesting, and it's 9:27. This question is a question for a class. Yes, surrender to Krishna means surrender to the guru. That's the in Bhagavad Gita, right? Chapter 4, 434, isn't it? Tadvidi pranipatena. You can't approach Krishna without approaching Guru. Surrender to the institution. Well, I wouldn't say surrender to the institution in and of itself. I would say surrender to the Guru, and the Guru's instructions are to work within the institution. Generally, of course, you can, if for some reason you have some conflict or whatever, and you can't function well in the institution, there may be some exception. But generally, it's Prabhupada's instructions stay within the institution. So surrender to Prabhupada means surrender to his instructions. That's his instruction, therefore. Right? You can't. You say, is it a combination of both? Well, they go together. If the guru is in the institution, then he wants his disciples to work for the institution. Satyarupa says, I think he means the guru is the prosecutor and disciple private advocate. I still don't understand. Guru is a prosecutor? I don't know. Pandora Hinson, Vrindavan, says, but if you surrender to Krishna, he takes everything away. You can end up homeless. No, he won't. He won't. Don't worry, he won't take away your home. Okay, how about this, everyone? Just chant your rounds in total surrender. Hare Krishna, Krishna, everything for you. Hare Krishna. I don't know. Prabhupada surrendered everything. He was doing pretty good. He had 108 homes. What do you think of that, Vrindavan? If we look at the example, look at the surrendered souls in our movement, right? See, they're not homeless. You know my joke. I said there aren't many skinny Hare Krishnas, right? They surrendered everything to Krishna and they became fat. How did they do that? Krishna didn't take away their pakoras. He gave them more pakoras. So yeah, in theory, Krishna could take everything away, but he'll only take away what's getting in the way between you and him. And if it's not getting in the way between you and him, why would he take it away? There's no reason. Absolutely no reason for him to do that. Only reason he would take it away. He said, here's an obstacle. I got to pull this away. Then obviously, if you don't have a home, that's not going to help your bhakti. You don't have food, that's not going to help your bhakti. So he's not going to take it away. Nadi says, I guess I was a devotee from San Francisco and didn't follow the principles, so now I'm in Siberia peeling potatoes. Could be. Could have been brahmacharis together in San Francisco. It's possible. And she didn't follow the temple president. She had to take birth in Siberia. Okay, everyone. This definitely proves you need to follow your temple president. Otherwise, you could take birth in Siberia in another life. That would be unfortunate. Well, maybe now it would be fortunate. Tanya says, how can we distinguish surrender from artificial renunciation? deep fry bhakti, which only causes material and spiritual problems? I think we should save that question for tomorrow. Okay, all these questions, Kamaniya, can you save them for tomorrow? Maybe we have to change the name of the show to Stump the Guru. We have so many questions. I have much to do today. And I also have another class, but it's a private class for students in London in 3 hours. So I'm going to have to bid you farewell. And we'll save the questions. I guess the questions will be saved for Friday because tomorrow is Ruski Day. We're talking about the topic of balance. Very important topic. We're going to get in. This topic is going to get interesting when you start talking about imbalances internal. We've been talking about the external balances, like too much time spent in one area of your life and not enough in another. There's the internal imbalances, like I want to be humble, but I like to be praised. Like these like total opposites going on in our life. Like I don't like something, but I'm totally attracted to it, but it's so bad for me, I don't like it, but I love it. And, the topic gets very interesting when you start going discussing balance on an internal level, because you see in your life there's so many imbalances internally. We're attracted to something, but we're repulsed by it. We want something, but we don't want it. We know it should be this way, but we like it that way. So that's a very interesting topic. So we will, if you want to, tomorrow. So that's tomorrow at 7. And then we started, we organized, we'll do kirtan every Sunday at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. So you're welcome to join. See how that goes. If I can get some more devotees together, that would be nice. Have a nice kirtan. And thank you for coming, and Hare Krishna to all of you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanandi.